I never imagined I'd find myself sitting in a dimly lit cafe, trembling as I typed a message I knew could end everything. But the truth was, it'd reached the edge of my patience. My girlfriend, Sophie, 26, and I, 28 meters, had been together for nearly 3 years. On the surface, everything looked perfect. We traveled together, shared inside jokes, and had a rhythm that made people envy our relationship. But beneath that surface, cracks were forming, small ones at first, almost invisible, but deepening with each passing week. Sophie had a secret life I only began noticing months ago. It wasn't infidelity, not in the traditional sense, but something just as destabilizing. Late nights she couldn't explain, constant texts she refused to show me, and an evasiveness that left me anxious every time my phone buzzed. I tried to confront her gently, asking if she needed space, if something was wrong, but she always brushed it off with a laugh or a vague excuse. I'd tried patience, reasoning, compromise. But last week, I discovered the truth in a way I couldn't ignore. Sophie had been seeing someone else, emotionally, secretly, intensely, and lying to me while pretending everything was fine. It wasn't about love, it was about attention, excitement, the thrill of someone else making her feel seen. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, cry, vanish. But instead, I sat there, shaking, and realized there was only one path forward if I wanted to preserve myself: an ultimatum. I told her, Sophie, I need honesty, full transparency, or we can't continue this. You need to choose, be with me completely, or we end this now. Her face went pale. She froze. You're giving me an ultimatum? She whispered. Yes, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Because I can't live like this anymore. I can't keep questioning every word, every text, every smile. I love you, but I love myself too. You need to choose. She cried, begged, swore she'd change. She swore she'd cut off the other person, that she would be honest moving forward, that she would do anything to make it work. And yet, as the days passed, I noticed the small lies creeping back, the evasions, the excuses. My friends told me I was harsh, that ultimatums were manipulative, that I was forcing her hand rather than trusting her to make the right choice. But they didn't feel her lying, didn't watch her hide parts of her life from me like poison in our daily routine. I keep asking myself, am I the a-hole for giving her an ultimatum? For demanding honesty and commitment in a relationship that was beginning to crumble under deception? Or is the a-hole the person who refuses to choose, who drags someone else along while secretly living a double life? Now, sitting alone in this cafe, the tension between love and betrayal presses against my chest like a physical weight. Sophie hasn't answered my messages for 2 days. Part of me hopes she'll come back, finally choosing me, finally being honest. Another part of me knows that ultimatums either force a decision or reveal the true nature of a person, and that sometimes, the answer is more painful than any confrontation. Because love, I've learned, isn't always enough to save a relationship. Sometimes, survival demands clarity, boundaries, and the courage to say, choose me, or walk away. The days after I sent the ultimatum were a haze. My phone felt like a loaded gun in my pocket. I kept checking it, hoping for a reply, dreading one at the same time. Every buzz made my heart leap, only to crash when it wasn't her. By the 3rd day, I decided I couldn't wait passively any longer. I went to her apartment unannounced. I needed to see her, to gauge her reaction in person. When I arrived, Sophie opened the door looking exhausted, her hair messy, eyes red from crying. She didn't speak at first. I stepped inside cautiously, feeling a mix of relief and dread. I don't know what to say, she whispered, voice shaking. You don't have to say anything yet, I said. I just need to know, can you be honest with me? Can you really choose me? Her silence was heavy, deafening. I could feel every second stretch into eternity. Then, slowly, she sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I don't know, she admitted finally. I thought I could have both. I thought I could love you and still have someone else. I didn't realize how much it would hurt you. I sat beside her, my own chest tight. It does hurt. It's not just about the other person. It's about trust. About believing in each other. If you can't commit fully, then I can't stay. I won't stay half alive, waiting for lies. Her tears fell harder, and I felt a pang of sorrow. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her it would be okay, but I couldn't lie to myself. Part of love is truth, and the truth right now was this: I could no longer tolerate half measures. The next week was a blur of tense conversations. Sophie promised to end contact with the other person, to rebuild trust, to be honest in every detail. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to. But every time she hesitated, every time her explanations sounded rehearsed, doubt gnawed at me. Then came the day I found a message she'd forgotten to delete. It wasn't sexual, but it was intimate in a way that belonged in our relationship, not with someone else. That was it, the line I couldn't cross. I confronted her, calm but firm. Sophie, I can't do this. I can't live in a relationship where I have to constantly check if you're telling the truth. I love you, but I can't love this version of us anymore. She screamed, cried, begged. She swore she'd change, that she'd cut all contact immediately, that she'd prove herself. But the decision had already been made in my heart. Sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes, boundaries and self-respect matter more than staying for the sake of love. I moved out the next day. The apartment we had shared for 2 years became mine no longer. Packing boxes felt like exercising the memory of every lie, every compromise I had made, every moment I had doubted myself. Friends were divided. Some called me heroic for standing up for myself, for refusing to settle for half-truths and half-love. Others accused me of being rigid, manipulative, or cruel. They didn't see the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the slow erosion of my sense of self. Months later, I learned Sophie had tried to reach out several times, leaving messages I ignored. I realized she wasn't ready to choose. She was still caught between 2 lives, one rooted in comfort and habit, the other in freedom and honesty. The healing process was slow. I spent weeks reflecting, writing, and occasionally breaking down alone. Therapy helped me rebuild trust in myself, in my ability to recognize my limits. I began to understand that an ultimatum isn't about forcing someone. It's about defining the boundaries of your own life. A year later, I saw her at a mutual friend's gathering. She looked different, softer, quieter, more aware of the pain she had caused herself and others. I didn't approach her. We exchanged glances across the room. No words were needed, the story of us was written in the silence between us. I still think about her sometimes. I wonder if she ever realized that the ultimatum wasn't cruelty. It was a desperate plea for honesty, a chance for her to see what I saw, that love without trust is a slow, painful death. And I learned a hard lesson. Standing up for yourself can feel like betrayal to someone you love, but staying silent can be an even deeper betrayal to yourself. Because in the end, ultimatums aren't about control, they're about survival. And sometimes, survival means walking away, even from the person you never imagined leaving. It's been nearly 5 years since that ultimatum, and not a day goes by that I don't think about Sophie. At first, I tried to bury the memory in work, friendships, and travel. I convinced myself that walking away was the only way to protect my sanity, and for a while, it worked. I threw myself into my career, took on projects I never would have considered before, and slowly, the wound began to scab over. But life has a way of reminding you. A few months ago, I received a cryptic email from a mutual friend. Sophie wants to meet you. She has something to tell you. My heart stopped. I debated ignoring it. After all, our history was painful. Why reopen old wounds? But curiosity and the remnants of affection got the better of me. I agreed to meet her at a small café downtown. When I arrived, I saw her immediately. She looked older, yes, but also softer. Her hair was streaked with gray at the temples. Her eyes carried the weight of years lived hard. I recognized the girl I had loved, but also someone who had been through storms I could only imagine. "Hi," she said quietly, sitting down across from me. "Hi," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. For a moment, we just sat there, neither of us speaking. Finally, she exhaled, a long, shuddering breath. "I wanted to apologize," she said. "For everything. For not choosing you, for lying, for letting Ryan," she stopped herself, shaking her head, "for letting anyone hurt me while you were trying to protect me." I swallowed. "Sophie, it wasn't your fault. You were young. You made choices. I just couldn't be in a relationship where honesty didn't exist." Her hand twitched, hovering over hers but never touching. "I know. I see that now. And I know the ultimatum, it hurt. I hated it. I hated you for giving it. But it forced me to see the truth I didn't want to see. That I was choosing the wrong life." I stared at her, 1,000 emotions colliding. Anger, relief, sadness, longing. "So you left him?" She nodded. "It took a few years. But yes. I realized that staying with him was destroying me. I lost friends, trust, even parts of myself. Walking away was terrifying, but necessary. For the first time in years, I felt a strange lightness. Relief. Hope. Perhaps both. But there was still something heavier lingering. I don't know if we can go back," I admitted. "Too much has happened. We've both changed." She smiled faintly. "I know. And I don't expect that. I just wanted you to know that your ultimatum wasn't cruel. It was honesty. It was care, in the only way you knew how." We spent hours talking that day. About the past, about mistakes, about what we had learned. And for the first time, it felt like forgiveness was possible. Not the naive, easy forgiveness of youth, but a deep, complicated one born of pain and survival. In the years since, I've realized that giving an ultimatum is never about control. It's about defining your boundaries, protecting your heart, and demanding respect. It can end relationships, yes, but sometimes it also teaches lessons that last a lifetime. Sophie and I didn't rekindle our romance. Life had moved us onto different paths, different cities, different experiences. But we found a fragile, careful friendship, built on truth and mutual understanding. And in a strange way, it healed both of us. I often think about that moment when I sent the ultimatum, trembling with fear. Back then, I thought I was risking everything. In reality, I was risking the illusion of love to preserve the reality of my self-respect. And sometimes, that's the hardest, and most important, thing to do. Because love, real love, isn't just about staying, it's about standing firm, even when it terrifies you.